welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. I'm your host, Ida Crawford, and thank you so much for joining us today. Truly appreciate you. You are in for a huge treat today as we welcome Miss Leslie Hassler, who is the CEO of Your Biz Rules. And let me just give you a little bit of background about Leslie. Leslie is the founder of Your Biz Rules and a business strategist with 17 years of entrepreneurial experience. She's the author of First This, Then That, and the upcoming book, Scaling Rich. Leslie's holistic approach helps businesses achieve predictable profits and sustainable growth, all while maintaining a balanced quality of life. We're excited to dive into her insights on creating business success and financial freedom. Wow. Welcome, my dear.
Howdy, Ida. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We are so excited that you are here to drop some gems on us today. So let's go ahead and get this party started and tell us about some of the key factors to consider before making the leap into selling a business.
So selling the business as in getting ready to exit, like you've built your business and you're ready to go out there.
Yes.
Well, I think people underestimate this process, right? And typically what we see happen is that an owner's like, I'm ready and I'm ready to sell now. And truly the exiting process is a 3, 5, maybe even 10-year cycle. It is something that you really can start with day one. If that's what your end in mind is about exiting, then honestly start at day one. If you've been in business though, you need at least 3 years. And here's some crucial factors of being able to sell. One is you're profitable. And not just profitable, you show a history of profit. So here's why 3 years is so super important. 1 year is a fluke. 2 years is a pattern, but 3 years is a trend. It's strength. So if you think about it, your buyer of your business is buying your business because they want to get a return on investment. Profit shows them they can get a return on your investment. So if you want to sell your business for $2 million, let's say, the average buyer is going to want to be able to get that back from their investment in 3 to 5 years. So 3 years that could show profits that added up to at least 2 million. Now you're starting to talk. Now you have a business worth selling. But that is just the beginning. Really, when it comes to businesses, and for so many businesses out there, what makes your business unsellable is the fact that you are your business. Everything relies on you. You are the center of everything. You can't take a vacation. You can't even think about not being in the office for a day if you're sick, because everything depends upon you. And I'm going to let you know, preparing your business to exit actually is super smart, even if you never plan on selling your business. Because if you think about it, you have profits, right? And if you have profits, that means you're going to be able to take home a good, healthy income, right? It also means that you're going to have money to pay taxes. Hey, taxes are a privilege of profit, right? But over time, you can use the income that your business is generating to build wealth, to build security, to build legacy. If your business doesn't depend wholly on you doing the work of the business, then you get to do things like, I don't know, take a vacation. You get to leave work at 5. You get to have the joy of a team that is supportive, engaged, and really acting in the business and your best interest. So preparing to sell, like I said, no matter if you're going to do it or not going to do it, it's a very healthy way to run a business.
Okay. I know we kind of started at the end of getting out. Okay, so now we got people thinking about what they need to have in order to sell their business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about growing your business and the
Sure.
difference between growth and scaling.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to talk about, Ida. It's a great question. So, here, let's start with what the difference is between growth and scaling. So, we see growth as foundational things. You're working on your marketing message, maybe you're hiring your first team member. These are important steps. They build the cornerstone of the foundation of your business, and you have to go through growth. Scaling is taking advantage of the growth. So when you're growing, here's the dirty little secret nobody tells you. If you're using growth to create cash, you are forever going to be disappointed because growth devours cash. It gobbles it up like Cookie Monster, right? It just devours cash. And it's really slow to give you cash in return. And that is an important thing to think about. So we know growth is important. We have to do it. But growth isn't what generates cash in a business. Scalability is. Scalability is about efficiencies. It's about capacity. It's about productivity. It is about ensuring that you are getting the absolute most return on everything you invested in with growth. So, in this way, what we like to explain is that growth and scalability are dance partners and they take turns in the leading, right? So, growth may lead for a while and determine the dance and which direction we're going. And then it's going to be scalability's turn to come in and do its job. But at a certain point in time, it's going to be time for growth to come back. So I think people look at growth and scalability as something to check off. Like, check, I'm done growing. Now I am scaling. Check, I've done scaling, right? It's not that at all. It's not about that achievement of checking off a box. It is about understanding that these are two lifelong partners who are in journey together and they take turns and they support each other. So after a period of scalability, guess whose turn it is to be in control? Growth, right? So the one of the things that we believe in, and we talk about in First This Then That, is that you use the periods of scalability to stash your cash, if you will, to fuel the next level of growth because growth devours cash. But I want to give you a specific example, if that's okay, Ida. I was explaining this concept to another business owner, and then he goes, "Oh my gosh, that's so happening in my business." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me more. I want to hear the story." And he goes, "Well, I bought the business from my father. He's had this business for 40 years. It's been successful. However, from a technology standpoint, it was kind of stuck in the Stone Ages." He goes, "So one of the first things we thought we needed for our next level of business was to invest in like a UPC scanner to digitize inventory." So they did this. And I was like, "Ooh, if I may ask, how much was that investment?" He goes, "A solid 6 figures." And I was like, "Wow, that's a lot." And he's like, "Yes." And I went, "All right, my next question. How long was it before you could see the return on that investment?" Would you guess how long it was? 18 months.
Okay.
18 months to start to see the cash coming back into the business, the reward of that investment. That is quintessential growth 101. So people, this is where we get into a little bit of problems, especially with the money part of it. Most businesses have, on average, 9 to 21 days worth of cash on hand. That feels like, especially if you have a team where you worry about making payroll at the end of the month, yet every month you're able to make payroll. And after you've made payroll, you're worried about making next month's payroll. It's because you don't have enough cash on hand. So imagine investing all of that cash into this bang of a growth idea and it taking 18 months to get back to you.
And that's a long time.
It's a very long time. And I think that's why we misuse growth in our business. So I always try to say growth does not produce cash, but it is a necessary foundational step. You can't be like a baby who's barely crawling and expect to run without going through the stages, right? So you have to be in these stages, and your job in growth is to get the foundations right.
Yes, yes. Wow, that was explained so well.
Thank you.
So well, because a lot of people confuse the two,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't realize that it's, like you said, it's a dance.
It is. And I love that analogy because, we wrote an article on the cha-cha. And if you know the cha-cha, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yes.
And that's how it feels like when we're growing our business. It's this kind of like 2 steps forward. Now I got to take a step back. And if you can understand that that's just the nature, like this is just the dance you've signed up to dance, you are able to detach the judgment from being in the dance at the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many people get wrapped up in that judgment and they feel bad about the step back. When in our brain, like what we say with our team and with our clients, it's just the cha-cha, because we know that the next thing that's going to happen is 2 steps forward.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's stay on growth for a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, new business.
Brand new business. Yeah.
Out the gate.
Yeah.
Give us some strategies for building a sustainable growth.
So the first thing I'm going to tell you is you need to price for profit, period. I think what happens when new businesses come out is you don't know how to price. You're really confused about that. And I get it. It feels confusing. And I did this in my first business. So when I first started my first business, I came out the door at $75 an hour. That's what I was going to charge. Why was I going to charge that? Because that's what everybody else was charging.
Mm-hmm.
I fell into the industry standard trap. Because see, an industry standard is nothing more than one person like putting a stake in the ground and everybody getting in line behind them without asking, why? Will this work for me? Is this the right path for me? And it took me, by the time I exited that business, I think we were figuring that we actually needed to be priced at $275 an hour in order to be profitable doing the work that we do it the way we do it. And that's the next key, right? So I do say, and this is definitely a very good chapter in First This and That, where we go through how to price for profit, because the name of the game as a business is not necessarily to get as big as you can get. I mean, I have aggressive goals. I want to be easily 35 times larger than I currently am. That's my big, big goal. But it's not about the money by that time. It's about impact for me. It's about us reaching our mission and vision. But I'm not growing just to get more money so that I have some left over. That's like waiting for the profit fairy. And the profit fairy, I'm going to tell you, there's no one that's going to come on and say, Ida, you've worked long enough. You've worked hard enough. You deserve profit. Bing! Like that just doesn't happen. But somehow we treat profit as a reward in a business, when in truth, it needs to be an intention. It needs to be that thing that you try for first. And in this way, there's a concept called minimum viable product. And this is for product-based businesses. But even for service-based businesses, we have a different MVP. And that is minimum viable profitability. And the concept is, how small can your business be and reach profitability? That's your first game to play, is how soon can you reach profitability? And for a lot of businesses, it can be sooner than you think. And if you have profit, just like we were talking about growth and scalability, you can fund your own growth. You won't have to access your 401ks. You won't have to wipe out your savings, right? You're able to allow the business to feed itself. And even if you reinvest your profits for 3 years because you have certain goals that you're trying to achieve, great. It's self-sustaining. And that is the name of the game that we want. We want a very self-sustaining business, one that is healthy and doesn't devour every single resource that it can get its hands on. That, like I said, Game number one.
Wow. That is so, and a lot of people don't think about it that way. So I am so happy you're here today,
Oh, thank
breaking
you.
this all down. So how can people get the book and connect with you for your services?
Sure. So we actually have a special page just for your listeners. If you're listening and watching this, this is for you. It's at yourbizrules.com/MMB. So that's Mary Boy, if you will, for the show name. And there's going to be a couple things we're going to give you there. So one is a link to the book, First This, Then That. So you can grab it. The second thing is we actually have a book guide. And we think this is a phenomenal book to read as a book club with your besties in business. And so that's free. You can download it there and grab that. You can grab the book. And if you're ready to be working with mentors and advisors that can help guide you on your journey, then there's a place that you can schedule a call and we'll just chat about where you are, where you want to go, and if we're able to help.
Yes. So I would take a whole advantage of that. Even if you think you know, I'm sure there is something you didn't know you didn't know.
And that is so true. That's entrepreneurship 101, right? It's on the job training every single day.
Yes.
And you can tough it out. You can eventually get there. It just tends to take you years. We'd like for it to take a lot less time than that.
Yes, absolutely. All righty now. So let's talk a little bit about having a holistic business and what that looks like.
Yeah, I think the concept that I like to introduce here is welcome to the land of and. So in business, we tend to think of or. I can have a thriving business or I can have a quality life. I can invest in my business or I can save for retirement. Like it always feels like things are in conflict with each other. And we like to think of it as the land of and. How can you have a thriving business and have a high quality of life? How can you invest in the growth of your business while you're saving for retirement as the entrepreneur? You know, it's a whole new land if you think of and versus or. And when you do that, what you do and why we think it's holistic is that all aspects of the business are taken care of. The people are taken care of. You're able to do good in your purpose. You're able to be profitable. And because of that, it's sustainable. Like you're not going to burn out. Because I don't know about you, Ida, but I have yet to meet a business owner that got into business to be broke and tired. Right? The number one reason that people get into business is freedom.
Yes.
But you can't get freedom if you're stuck in the land of or, because it will never be good enough. You will never have enough, right? You will never feel safe and secure enough. So you do need this approach, which is really plays into our next book, Scaling Rich. That's that philosophy that we can be better at business, be healthier at business, and be more successful, but we don't need the hustle and grind to do it.
Yes. Yes. And I think that is where most businesses fall into, the hustle and grind.
You know, the hustle and grind, it can be a period. It can be a point. We leading up to even just getting a book out. If you've ever tried to publish a book, it's a lengthy, lots of effort involved into it. We know that we push in those areas, but then we have periods in our business of recovery where we know that we need space to recover, to catch up on the other pieces of our business that maybe we were only operating at 70 or 80%, and we want to get back up to 90% before we start the next push. And I don't think people see, they view themselves much more as robots. I would say you're more likely a high performance car. If you think of like Formula One or NASCAR, they even take pit stops and they're strategic pit stops. They're very calculated pit stops, right? They know what they're doing in that pit stop. Take a pit stop for the love of God. You know, give yourself time to recover, you will be a stronger business owner for it. You will have a more successful business as a result.
Yes, yes, yes.
But listen, at the end of the day, if you lay a really good foundations, and let's say what the foundations are that we cover in the book. One of it is your cash management. Second is that profitability. Third is your value proposition. This is so super important. The next part is, how are you as a leader, and how are you building a team? And then how are you being strategic? If those are the main topics that we cover in the book, and that at the end of the day, what we're trying to give you is something that's manageable, like we've talked about, that is holistic, that is healthy, that is sustainable, that you're going to love going to work on Monday, and you're going to be shocked that it's Friday, because in between those 2 days that are bookend our week, you were in the groove. You were doing what you needed to do. You were doing phenomenal work, working with phenomenal people, having a phenomenal time. Yeah. That is our goal at the end of the day. And that's why these foundations are so super important. And I think, we were talking about startups a little bit earlier, Ida. Guess what? If you've been in business 3, 5, 10 years, you may still need these foundations.
Yes.
Right? It's not just for startups. And if it's startups, goodness gracious, grab that book, read it, grab the workbook, grab the guide, do the work. You will shortcut all the heartache. It will be cut out, because you're just going to be super focused in on finding that value proposition that you provide to people, being able to communicate so people understand what it is that you do. And when they do that, they're willing to pay you. And so we talk you through all the logistics of that. It is definitely a book that gives a lot of information, but we also tell you how to do some of this stuff too, which I think is pretty amazing.
Yes, yes. And that's important, because some people can read it, and the next question is, well, how do I implement this? Sounds good, but what do I do?
How do I go about it? Yeah. And that's what we have found with our clients in a lot of ways, is they're smart people. They do good work. If they knew what to do and how to do it, they would have already done it. Like, the doing part necessarily isn't our client's problem. So we need to help them see how to implement this, how to be able to put it to work in their business, what steps they can skip, because sometimes you can't, what steps they absolutely cannot skip, no matter how much they want to skip, because it's so pivotal. We have clients on both sides of the spectrum. Some I'm like, okay, we can go faster. Others I'm like, slow down for a minute. let's do this step well, and then we'll never have to do it again. Kind of the whole gamut. But I just think there's so much to owning a business that we don't talk enough about. And that's why we really felt like we needed to get this book out. We needed to help as many business owners as possible.
Yes. Yes. And I'm going to go over and grab the book. And if you're listening, if you're watching, go get the book. Just go get it. Whether you think, like I said before, whether you think I assure you there's going to be something in this book that you didn't know you didn't know.
For sure.
So So thank you, Leslie. You have dropped so many gems on us this day. I am so honored to have met you. And we will be doing this again, because I think people definitely need to hear this more than one time. Because you know how it go.
I do. It takes repetition. Yes. It takes repetition to get things to sink in. So thank you for having me, Ida. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Leslie.